It only took months and months of convincing, but it's finally happened. We got Hector to play League of Legends again. A great weight has been lifted from some of our WoW players. They really didn't deserve what they had to endure for so long. Lucky for us, we get treasures like these back. There's nothing quite like failing to execute a cheater recall appropriately and then trying to make up for it by committing your flash to ensure that the freeze still occurs. Now that he's back, we'll be letting him play in high elo until he gets Challenger back before sending him to the dumps once again. For now, let's take a look at some macro decisions in his recent games, which are all around Masters or higher elo. He's been off grinding some high elo for once, and we really couldn't be more lucky. I mean, just look at that. If that isn't peak League of Legends, we don't know what is. Anyway, let's get right into the guide. So get ready, we're kicking things off with a question very quickly. Let's get a feel for the game first though. Everything is pretty standard as far as mid-game macro goes. He's just pushing toward a solo lane to get solo farm, which is as simple as it gets. Okay, he's pathing, cool, that's it. That's what we're gonna talk about. Did you catch the decision that he made? If so, why did he do it? This is a higher level concept, so we're definitely not looking for a simple answer here. Rewind if you want to see it again. Minion buffs is a concept that we've taught before, but we haven't really gone over it super in depth. And a reason for that is that only really try-hard professional players tend to consistently think about it. In this specific case, Hector made two decisions based on what he saw. First, he immediately looked at the minion buffs once he glanced over the wave. He saw that his own wave was a bit stronger at this point in the game. Also, the enemy wave was already slightly damaged before they collided. Although the enemy wave is closer to the enemy's side of the map, these two minor advantages mean that his wave is likely to push toward the enemy team rather than back to him. Thus, if he were to do Krugs immediately here, then he was afraid that the wave is likely to look like this by the time he's done with him. That's a fair bit of farm missed, and even more minions will die by the time he actually gets back over to the wave. So, his initial goal was to go toward the wave first, fix it, and then loot back to Krugs if there's nothing going on the map afterwards. But the second that he saw Lux on the minimap heading toward bottom, he immediately clicked toward Krugs. The change in decision is obviously because Lux is going to kill this wave, so there's no rush to head over there anymore. He can do Krugs without missing any minions at all. Let's just quickly point out that maybe this wasn't the best macro play available or even worth thinking about at that moment though. The dragon was spawning and he probably should have been posturing with his team to get better positioning around it, as it was the mountain dragon, the most valuable one of them all. That's definitely a fair point, but his excuse was that he's just super focused thinking about this concept and trying to master it, and everything else is just taking a back seat right now. He believes understanding this can definitely have a very strong impact on your macro choices if you pay close enough attention to it. For example, this is an old replay but a very good example of how it can be used. Hector lost lane ridiculously hard, first time it's ever happened, and this should usually be an FF at 15 go next kind of game. But your opponent's winning too handily can sometimes be used against them. Due to the proximity of the wave to his side of the map, allowing his reinforcing waves to arrive first, this wave would usually be pushing away from him toward the enemy team. Normally it'd be in his best interest to immediately go fix it so it can't be frozen against him. But he's already typed that he'll actually be the one freezing. That's because the enemy wave is significantly stronger than his own, so it's breaking conventional minion rules. He had already predicted it would be pushing toward him instead. Knowing that he doesn't need to fix it, he instead secures vision so he can safely freeze without dying. Thanks to the fact that the enemy wave was so much stronger than his own, he was able to maintain a freeze down here for quite a while, which eventually helped him to catch back up in the game. The tricky thing about this topic is when situations get really complex. There's three factors to consider on how a wave will move long term if left alone. Number 1, wave positioning. Number 2, overall minion health. And number 3, minion buffs. It can be easy to think about how waves will operate outside of a game, but making the correct macro call in an actual game in a split second by considering all these factors is what is difficult. We're not going to lie. The advantages that you earn by actively paying attention to this aren't as noticeable as the fundamentals we always try to teach. Oftentimes, you're just making estimates on how a wave will push, and even then, it can sometimes just come down to RNG. But if you're someone who really cares about maximizing every little advantage in the game, then by all means go ahead. It definitely can't hurt your gameplay. Alright, enough with the really try-hard stuff. Instead, let's take a look at some more immediately applicable concepts. Let's jump over to a Malzahar game for some nice and relaxing R-key gameplay. During the game, he managed to push out the wave in mid and then rotate over toward top lane to set up a gank onto the Poppy. Afterwards, he recalls and discusses not what he's doing well, but rather what Orianna is doing poorly.
Orianna's making a lot of mistakes. One, she went to Dragon when she wasn't really needed to go there. Two, she didn't base here, which technically gives me another free roam timing. I could even cancel her base if I can catch up to her and really make her life miserable. I'm gonna pretend I'm not walking up, which might bait her into thinking I'm not walking up, and then I will walk up, and then she's completely boned because she's gonna miss the next wave for no reason. Now all I have to do is not die to the most obvious Viego bait of my life, and I should be hard winning.
Alright, we have a few different points here, so let's break them down first. Before the roam we initially discussed, the enemy team killed Hector's Senna. The mistake he's referencing is Orianna leaving mid to go help out her jungler do the dragon. Junglers can easily solo dragon at this point, and her bot lane had prio as well. There's no need for her to move unless her lane opponent moves, which Hector didn't. All this does is give prio to a Malzahar, which should never ever happen for free in this matchup. You're not always going to have mid prio, but losing it for a worthless reason like that is definitely a huge mistake. Priority in solo queue is way too effective. Random roams, regardless of how obvious they are, have a high chance for success simply because side laners are completely blind regardless of the elo you're playing at. For the second part, he does admit his commentary was a bit off. He said it was a mistake Orianna didn't base here, but it's actually fine to stay if she needed this wave for an item. It can be a mistake versus other lanes because, as he said, it gives a free roam timer. As she bases, he gets to push another wave uncontested. Yes, Orianna gets back in time to catch the wave, but Hector would have had priority and could roam a second time for free, as he said. Why it's not a mistake is that he's a Malzahar without ult. If he were a Qiyana, for example, maybe Orianna should have valued basing on the prior wave so that she doesn't concede priority again to such a powerful roamer. The actual mistake from Orianna though is being a greedy high elo player. All high elo players have the usually good habit of being as greedy as possible with their recalls. They watch their opponents to see if they're coming to stop them, and when they don't, they continue recalling in a spot that's very easy to cancel.
Really make her life miserable. I'm gonna pretend I'm not walking up, which might bait her into thinking I'm not walking up, and then I will walk up.
It's a very easy mind game that is super effective the higher you climb in elo. You just wait around 3 or 4 seconds and then walk up to cancel. He did it to Orianna 3 times this game until she learned her lesson. The lesson for us here is that greedy recalls are very good. There's a reason all high elo players do it. But if there's no need, then there's no need. Look how far away Hector's wave was. She could have walked really far back and ensured her recall went off instead of risking it in the middle of the lane. With the wave so far away, there's no reason for her to get back to lane ASAP. She has plenty of time to back off far enough to guarantee her base timing. With her recall ruined, getting a guaranteed lead over Orianna is easy by perma-shoving her in. She now has 2 choices. She can either recall at a bad timing, miss a wave and give some turret plates, or she can concede priority for a very long time. She chose the latter. Eventually, there's an opportunity to collapse to a fight. Hector rotates, and although he doesn't take the best pathing which causes him to miss some kills, it was still an advantage earned by punishing Orianna's mistakes. Of course, his advantage is completely blown when he tunnel visions on the bot lane fight while Orianna sets up a kill on him. Then, his entire tower with 5 juicy plates all gets taken for free. Thankfully, this kind of stuff tends to get edited out of the videos. The third point we'll be discussing is an opinion he holds, which he feels quite strongly about. The idea being that turrets are completely overrated and valued way too highly by a lot of the League community. We're not fully on board with agreeing to this just yet, but the idea has definitely been getting more and more traction lately among some analysts. The concept is that as the game gets more refined, players don't really need turrets. You can avoid mid-game side lane ganks by using your brain, and important fights don't really take place around turrets. They should be happening near the objectives being fought over. There's way more reasons to it, but that's the gist. So, some players believe that the only value they have is literally just how much gold they give you.
Turret plates aren't down yet, so I don't want to completely concede mid. If they were down, I might just give the turret, because I don't really care about turrets. Now that he can't really get any plates, maybe we can still look.
Turret plates are obviously something that you should consider when choosing to concede a turret, as they actually give gold. But now that they're about to go down, he completely changes his game plan and goes to join the top lane fight that's been going on for a while. Rotating up here, he manages to get here in time to turn around the end of the fight and score a kill.
I give it mid for this, but I don't really care about mid. Means nothing to me.
The advice that he offers is that if you can ever trade the life of your turret for more overall gold with another play on the map, then don't hesitate to do so. Having more gold than your opponent is more important than having a worthless structure. Again, his words. In this specific example, by coming top, he guaranteed that his team won the fight. That means no one is farming top waves and they can get the top turret. The cherry on top is that the enemy Kai'Sa overvalues turrets and went to share gold in mid with Heimerdinger. So Hector's team has Jarvan and Wukong getting solo turret gold from 2 turrets, whereas Heimer and Kai'Sa are sharing gold from just 1. Yes, the mid tower is known for being the most important, but as we've said, in his opinion, it doesn't matter all that much. You can choose for yourself whether you want to follow that advice or not. Anyway, that's going to wrap up this guide. We hope you either learned something or gained a new perspective. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.